What's up, Bulldogs? All right, I'm going to try to answer this question, although it's kind of a difficult one to answer. Someone left a comment on one of my videos and they said, thanks, John, but what do you say here? He said, he thanks, John. Question, how do you become a masculine man apart from going to the gym? So as if going to the gym would make you a masculine man. But I mean, I think that working on yourself, like building strength is definitely a part of it. But what can you do, right? How can you become a more masculine man? This is something that I think is not obvious, right? Because a lot of the ways that people attempt this don't really work and they're not really effective. We talked about in a previous video about how money doesn't make you a man. Money does not make you masculine. A lot of people try to go down that road of becoming more masculine or becoming more of a man or becoming more attractive to women by making a lot of money. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't make money and you shouldn't pursue those goals, but if your goal is to really become a masculine man, how do you accomplish that, right? So the first thing I would say is that it comes from going outside of your comfort zone and facing your fears. One of the hallmarks of masculinity is courage, right? And courage doesn't just mean facing your mortality or facing an enemy on the battlefield. It means facing your life. It means getting on stage and speaking. It means writing a blog post and putting it out there or making a YouTube video. It means going and approaching the woman and talking to her, not just hiding behind a dating app, right? It means doing things that you're afraid to do. It means risking your ego, right? It means potentially facing failure in some avenue and pursuing it anyway, because that's the thing that's going to expand you and grow you as a person, right? And the more that you are able to expand your comfort zone, right, the more that you're going to become masculine and the more that you're going to exercise the muscle of courage. And the thing about courage and fear you have to understand is that fear cannot be controlled. Fear is something that you don't have control over. If you're afraid, you are afraid, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't prevent yourself from being afraid, and you can't make it necessarily go away. But what you can always do is you can choose to have courage. And the thing about courage is when you make that choice, every time you make that choice, it sort of negates fear in the sense that the courage muscle becomes stronger and you can become more courageous. And as you keep on making courageous choices and you become more courageous, then fear becomes less relevant because you know that you're going to act despite the fear. In fact, courage to some degree requires fear, otherwise it wouldn't really be courage, right? And so that's the first thing I would say about being more masculine is go and face your fears. Go outside of your comfort zone. That's why I talk about things like going up and talking to girls and doing a cold approach is not because it's like, oh, you need to do this. You need to be having sex with lots of women. That's not the point, and that's not necessarily the goal. The goal is that you're facing this fear. You're facing this rejection, right? You're developing your social skills in that way. The second thing I would say that you can do to become more masculine is to build your competency, right? So become good at things, right? If you're sitting around playing video games all the time, then you're not going to be very masculine, right? Not to say that you can't play video games at times, but you got to go out there and develop some real skills in the world, right? That's why if you learn how to make money, if you learn how to build a business, those are real skills, and those are valuable things for you to do, right? And so that can improve your masculinity. Now, that in itself doesn't make you masculine, right? In fact, some of the skills that you should develop are survival skills, things that will help you in life, right? That's why it's good to go and fight, right? Go in and learn kickboxing, Muay Thai, or jiu-jitsu or something like that, and actually get in the arena and actually fight a man, right? And I don't mean that you don't necessarily have to enter into a competition if you don't want to, but at least spar, at least be hit in the face, right? At least have some amount of potential to be harmed that you're facing, right? When you face that, again, that's part of facing the fears. But you'll build your competency, and so you'll build your confidence because you'll know, hey, you can fight. You know that you've been in situations before, in combat situations, and so when you go out, you're going to carry yourself as more confident. Some of the other things I would say about masculinity, I think really it centers around principles. It's about building your character and being a man that is wise and lives by principles, right? In order to be more masculine, you have to be consistent in your life, right? So that means that you have to have a level of emotional mastery, right? A more masculine man is going to be a man who is able to manage his emotions, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you suppress them. It doesn't mean that you express them, but it means that you process them and you're able to manage them. It means that if something makes you angry, which again, you can't control the initial feeling of anger that happens, feelings are not under your control, but you don't act on that anger. You don't allow that to escape the inside of you, right? You don't allow it to rise to the surface. You don't even allow it to show on your face, right? Because you are in control, right? And so that is a very masculine attribute, especially in regards to women, because one of the biggest dangers that a woman can ever face in a relationship with a man is to be in a relationship with an angry man, a man who has an anger problem. If you have an anger problem as a man, it's extremely dangerous for a woman and for a child or for your children, because children are extremely frustrating. Okay. And so if you have an anger problem and you don't have children, you're going to have an anger problem when you do have children. It's going to be bad. There's a lot of consequences that can come from that. So it is the ability to restrain yourself, right? A masculine man has to be capable of violence. He has to have a degree of power and prowess. And that's where we get into the whole physical side of it. But he needs to have the ability to restrain that as well. Otherwise, he's not going to appear very masculine, right? He's going to appear very emotional, right? The other aspect of this, I think, is the actual strength, right? Which is going to the gym, right? It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to go to the gym, but it's some kind of physical mastery, right? You have to push yourself to your physical limits. You have to be developing yourself, right? And obviously, if you are bigger, if you go to the gym, if you lift weights, if you develop your physique, that's going to make you come across as more masculine, right? Because you have more physical power, right? And so you can develop that and you can work on that. Some of the other things that you can do is you can read books on masculinity. I've got quite a few books that I would recommend for you. One of them is The Way of the Superior Man by The Way of Men by Jack Donovan. And that's more about men in general, or his take on it is not that there's a difference between a man and a good man. And so it is sort of the raw masculinity. If you look at it, it does. I don't think it encompasses every element of it, but he covers a large portion of what it is to be a man, or what makes a person a man. And then there is The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. That is an excellent book on especially being a man in a relationship. There is Masculine in Relationship by G.S. Youngblood, which is also a really great book. You can read Iron John by Robert Bly. That is more of a mythological kind of set of stories about masculinity, but I find that one to be excellent as well. And those are the main ones that I'd recommend. There's probably a few other ones that I would say that you could read, but there's not a huge amount of content on that. That's why I try to create this content about being a man, right? And all the things that we talk about on this channel are about masculinity, about being a man, right? I'm trying to teach you how to be a man, right? I used to say that at the beginning of the videos, is that I teach you how to be a man. I don't say that anymore, but really that's what it is, right? A lot of studying philosophy. If you're wise, I know that doesn't necessarily always get attributed to masculinity, but it is part of it, right? If you think about king energy, of being a king, of having the wisdom, right? A masculine man is analytical, right? Women are emotional. The feminine is more emotional. The masculine is analytical. So if you are analytical, if you're able to analyze things, right? If you're able to stay calm and steady in the face of danger, in the face of emotional circumstances, then you're someone who can be relied on, right? Masculinity, if you think about it, is about being like a rock, right? Unchanging, unmoving, right? Moving on its own accord, not being swept away by the wind, by the currents of fate and the storm, right? A woman is kind of like the feminine is more of the emotional, is more of that storm that's raging through it. It's volatile, right? And so what women are looking for is that stability. They're looking for a man that is stable, that is constant, right? And so how can you develop these things? right? Another way to develop these things is in your interactions with women, right? You have to have experience with women in order to be more masculine, because women will test you and women will make you more masculine, or they will emasculate you. They will do one of those two things because they will put forth the challenges to you, right? A good woman can help you become more masculine by sharpening your masculine edge, because she will test you. She will tempt you sexually. She will emotionally test you. And as you learn to resist those things and to be grounded in who you are, that is going to help you to develop that masculinity, right? Because you cannot be swayed off your mission, right? And that's the other thing that you can focus on. You will be more masculine if you have a mission. If you don't have a mission in life, if you don't have something that you're focusing on, if you're just kind of just drifting through life, you're not going to be very masculine, right? And it doesn't matter what the mission is, and the mission can change from time to time, right? If you have nothing to do right now, go and start training for a marathon and go run a marathon. You could also start building a business right now, right? You have to have some kind of a mission in life to go forward and conquer things, right? Now, if you want some help with this, you want to join a community of guys, I am rebooting the Bulldog Mindset membership. Check it out. There's a link down below, and you can join us. And I've got a ton of content on being a man. I mean, in fact, the Bulldog Mindset membership is literally how to be a man. It is literally everything on the fitness side, on the dating side, on relationships, on mindset, on finance, on how to develop yourself in these areas. But I would say overall, right, and we could make a distinction between being a man and being masculine. I would say that being masculine, like if you want to become more masculine, start developing yourself in all of these areas. Develop yourself physically, develop yourself in terms of mindset and philosophy. Start developing yourself in terms of your financial success, or skills, we could say, that skills acquisition, and develop yourself in your relations to women, right? Become good socially so you can talk to women and you can not fear the rejection of women, or even if you fear the rejection, you can overcome that fear through courage. Those are the things that are going to help you to become more masculine. If I left something out, let me know, and I'll see you tomorrow.